Hey everyone! In this video, I'm going to go over the process of installing the Motobilt wheelbase stretch kit for the Jeep YJ. I haven't seen any videos on how to do this, so I figured I'd give it a shot and see what we come up with. So stay tuned, grab a beer, and we'll get started. Alright, the components of the wheelbase stretch kit are your rear bumper / crossmember, your 2 frame end plates, and then your new shackles. There is also an optional bushing kit that can be purchased as well from Motobilt.com. So the first step to this install is removing any components that are going to be in your way, such as your rear axle, your rear suspension, any bumpers or anything on. So I'm currently in the process of doing an axle swap, so my rear axle is already removed, as well as my leafs, my shackles, and then I also had a U-Haul rear hitch that was hooked to the crossmember here, and that got removed as well. There are 2 different ways to install the new bumper / crossmember onto the Jeep. The first way is welding it straight to the existing crossmember, or cutting out the existing crossmember and welding it in its place. I'm going to probably remove the existing crossmember and weld it in for a cleaner install to make it more flush and actually flow with the body lines a little bit better. Now that we have those components removed, the next step is going to be removing our fuel tank. Hi, Luna. First step on removing the fuel tank is disconnecting your filler hose and your breather hose right here. What I did, the easiest way, was pulled out my fuel filler and was able to loosen the hose clamps from the back and then pull it all out. Next step is going to be removing your tank straps and lowering the tank down. So we're going to get it on a jack and go from there. Did I mention that you want to have the least amount of fuel possible in your tank? I think I have less than a quarter tank before I drop this. Obviously, you don't want like 20 gallons of fuel when you pull your tank down. So these bolts are a 13mm. Okay, those back bolts are undone. Your straps, just pull it out of the way. And now we should be able to slowly lower the tank. I have our tank kind of hanging down. We see our fuel pump, fuel lines, and our sending unit cable, which there's a connector up here. I don't know if you guys can see that. Disconnect the connector, and then we will disconnect the fuel lines from the pump, and it should pull right out. So this is what your fuel tank should look like when it's fully disassembled. Just like that. Oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Even though I don't have much fuel in this tank, still is going to spill everywhere. Alright. Okay, now that you've cleaned up the fuel that you spilt like an idiot, the next step is going to be removing the rear 2 body mount bolts and body mounts. I have previously installed a 1-inch body lift on this, so my bolts have been out and anti-seized when they went back in. If you've never removed your body mount bolts, be prepared to potentially snap a bolt and have the headache of dealing with that. But with this process, you shouldn't need to put new body mounts in, because the new Motobilt crossmember, regardless of if you're welding it to the existing one or removing this, it comes to the edge of the frame. So this, for a cleaner look, is going to be cut off and removed. And Motobilt recommends tying your roll cage into your frame with a connector tube of some sort. So I'm doing a custom cage in the future, and I will do that at a later time. But for now, I'm going to get rid of these so I can remove this and remove the existing crossmember. Alrighty, so since that last clip of me removing the body mount bolts, it's actually been about a month. Within that month, I got married, and then we were also able to go out and work with Motobilt at some of the local shows around our area. The first one being the Bantam Jeep Fest out in Butler, Pennsylvania, and the second one being the New Jersey Jeep Invasion in Wildwood, New Jersey. Those are the past 2 weekends. It was a cool experience. Now we're finally back home. I can finally get back to work on the Jeep. But since you guys have last seen it, some things have escalated. Yeah, I'll show you how. Alrighty. So my body is now sitting here, and what's left of a Jeep is sitting right here. So for this install, you don't have to remove your body. The main reason I did is with my axle swap, I have a few things I have to relocate on the frame. I have to make a few repairs, and it's just going to be easier with it out of my way. An added benefit is I can actually show a little bit more detail once we start cutting and welding in the new stretch kit / crossmember. It's going to be a little bit easier for me to show what's going on, what I'm doing. And then the third benefit to having the body off is maybe a potential motor swap. We'll see about that. But alright, now that I've talked long enough, let's get back to actually working on this thing instead of just talking about it. Never done this before, but it seems pretty cut and dry. Cut the weld up top, cut the weld on the bottom, both inside and outside, and should be able to remove everything. If I mess up, you guys will get to learn from my mistakes, but it should be pretty easy. Main things, when you're cut off wheel with a grinder: safety glasses, gloves, and then I got my safety Crocs. But time to get cutting. Well, safety Crocs weren't doing the trick, so pants and shoes it is. Back to it. So now with that cut away, to give you a better idea of where the welds are at, you get a weld right on the inside here. There's a weld right along the bottom here. And maybe a little something there. And then across the top here on both sides. What I decided to do after trying to cut around the welds, I found it's going to be easier to just cut out the center section here and then work on the frame ends to clean that up. So I kind of plunge cut here all the way out to loosen that. So now I'm just going to go over to the passenger side, do the same thing and take this whole section out. Then I'll be able to just work on removing the two end pieces. Ooh. Ooh. That's probably not the best. Alright, so we have both the frame ends cleaned up and the rear cross members cut out. The next step is going to be taking a flap wheel and cleaning the frame down to bare metal to take any excess welds out and to flush the bung here on the side for the end cap. That we cleaned up the frames here with the flap wheel. Kind of with the help of some friends, I got the new bumper up and clamped in place just to kind of mock it up, see what we're working with, what I need to trim up a little bit more. I know the rear of my Jeep before I owned it was hit driver's side rear, and I can tell the frame rail is just slightly tweaked. This side's pretty good. It's squared up. So the main thing you're trying to do at this point is to make sure it's level, square, and flush on all ends. And once that's set, then it's time to tack it up in place. We'll measure again and check level again. So we got everything tacked up, took some measurements, and getting to this side here, we were 3/16 off. And I think that was due to where I cut the frame. I think I had a little bit of the bracket still there, or I cut it a little crooked. So this end was 3/16 further back than that end over there. So I just cut the tacks. And now I'm going to work on removing a little bit of metal. I'm going to try to do 1/16 at a time from this face. That way we can slowly work this back in until both sides are an equal distance. I'm taking the measurements from the stock leaf hangers. From there to center of the new shackle hangers on both sides, and we measured squareness of the frame to make sure that those points were accurate, and they are on my frame. So just make sure your frame is square, and then as long as it is, you can take your measurements from a known point up on the frame on both sides to make sure that you are the same distance back when mounting this up. What I forgot to mention, why I have this ratchet strap here, is just to keep the frame from flexing out at all. I noticed mine moved slightly, so just to get it square width, the same width as the new Crossmember / bumper, I ratcheted in. It was only like 2 clicks on the ratchet just to get it flush and even. And I'm using this ratchet strap to draw the bumper back closer to the frame for now, since I have it tacked on the one side. So now the outside edge of the bumper is flush with the outside edge of the frame, and now the bumper is flush against the backside. Now we can measure to see if I took enough metal off. I'm going to take another measurement to make sure I cut enough away. So on the other side, we were just a hair over 51 7/16. And originally on this side, we were 51 9/16. So now we are right a hair over 51 7/16. So I'm within a 1/16 on both sides. and that is good enough for me. So now, going to re-tack this end, take the straps off, verify square and measurements one more time, and as long as it's good, then we can go ahead and start welding everything solid. One last look before we do our final tack. Clamp holding it there, flush, straps for the frame, strap holding the bumper against the frame, and our level there, pretty close to being level. So, I like it. Well, there it is, all tacked up and in place. I double checked the measurements, we are still good. I have 2 tacks on the outside and 2 tacks on the inside of both the driver's side and the passenger side. It's time to weld her up. Although I'm not that good of a welder, so my buddy Matt is going to be coming over and he's going to put down some really nice strong beads. That way this thing will never go anywhere. Can't wait.
We made this video to show you how bad of a welder Matt is.
Like,
Yeah.
Faint.
Yeah. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Damn, I'm good.
And that is why Matt is doing it, not me.
Oh yeah. It's this nice Clark Weld MiG 130 EN. So if you guys want to give us a sponsorship, we actually don't want to. That's all you can do, just look at it.
Well, as you guys just saw, Matt was here the other night and helped me get this bad boy all welded up inside and out. I didn't really get to introduce you to him because he kind of got here, we got talking, then we just jumped right into it. I'll show you here shortly the areas that he welded and kind of give you an up close. But today I came down and started grinding out the edge of the outside edge of the frames here to get to the last step of this install, which is installing the frame end plates that cover up the hole here and our existing bung from our shackles. So let me show you a closer look what that looks like. Our new frame end plates are going to sit just like this, and as you can see, it kind of caps off the end there, and it also covers everything here. So it, one, gives it a nice clean look. Two, it adds a little bit extra metal on the end of the frames there to give it just a little bit more rigidity, more strength. But before we get to welding them on, I just want to show you. Now I already did come by with a grinder and a wire wheel just to kind of clean and start get this metal prepped for welding. but where Matt welded was right on the inside here, right to the frame and to the inside of the Motobilt stretch kit. So that's welded there. He welded it underneath, on top, and up on the inside, both driver's side and passenger side here. So as you can see, it is solid and definitely not going anywhere. And those are the main structural areas to attaching this piece. As for the frame end caps, they're not a key structural component like that is. So instead of bothering Matt to have him come back over to the house here, I'm gonna give it a shot and try welding these on myself. I'm not gonna be able to make it as pretty and as nice as he does, but I need the practice, and this is a good piece to practice on, and I don't think I can screw it up too bad. Next, I'm just gonna finish cleaning up some areas, get these clamped on, tacked on, double check, make sure everything looks good, and then I will start welding these on to finish this project up. I didn't say it before. Make sure that the bung for the stock shackles is ground down flush with the frame, because if it's sticking out, your plate won't sit flush against the frame. Now mine's not 100% flush. There's a little bit of play, but I'm gonna fill that in with some weld. So looking at this new end cap is slightly taller than my frame. I don't know if it's, I think it's just my frame is a little tweaked, and plus I could have ground a little too much out, but it's actually not too bad. This is how I have my end plate clamped up. As you can see, I'm kind of matching this groove of it with the radius there on the Crossmember / stretch kit. It's pretty much flush all the way down here. Now you said you can see it's a decent size gap, but I should be able to fill that in with the weld, no problem. And then there's a bit of an edge, but I'm going to try to fill all that in with weld on the top. Okay, there we are. I have driver's side frame end plate tacked in 5 spots, and passenger side frame end plate tacked in 5 spots. Matt gave me some pointers when he was here the other night, some tips and tricks, kind of helped me improve a little bit on my welding technique. So we'll see if I'm a good student. Moment of truth. I'd say that's not too bad. I'm very happy with that. Thanks, Matt, for making me not suck as bad. Let me show you guys. I mean, again, I've never said I was a welder, but I don't think that is horrible. For as big of a gap that was there, it's not too bad. So just to give you guys an idea, this is the passenger side, so that's about how much, as I said earlier, it's kind of a tad taller than my frame, so I stuck it up on the top side. So that's about as much gap as I had to fill over here. And I'm pretty pleased with that. I'll take it. Let's continue on. was able to get some welds all the way around them. Not all the prettiest, but I mean, it works for me. The bottom side, welding upside down, still haven't even got close to perfecting that. So I had to grind a little and come back and do another pass. But I'll show you where I'm at. I still think I'm going to grind some of them away just to kind of make it smooth, but I have good solid welds and it's really just aesthetics at this point. But here, let me show you what we got. Alright, so on the passenger side, here's the top. I kind of went a little crooked here and had a gap, so I had to come back and kind of just do a little plug there, but not too bad. Coming down the front, I'm okay with that. There's underneath on the passenger side, you can see it kind of built up here. I'm going to grind that down, but I had a good bead here, and then it kind of fell out here, so I ground it down and came back, so I got to touch that back up. But continuing on, so coming the back side of the passenger end plate, it's not too bad. Around the corner, I kind of, there was my tack, so I had to go around that, but overall, for being a amateur welder, I'm pretty happy with that. That's how the passenger side looks fully welded on. I already showed the top of the driver's side, so that looks good. Coming down the swoop, got a little crazy here, and then there was my tack, so I had to go around that. Came up, that bead's not quite the cleanest. Doesn't look bad, but I had to grind it and come back. So I got a couple danglies right here. But again, amateur welder. Oh, also the face down. Not too bad. All I know is that it's solid and it's not going anywhere. Just a little bit cleanup, and it works for me. Alright everyone, just like that, this project is done. It was a little lengthy. We have full Motobilt stretch kit installed, except for our new bushings and shackles. As you can see, I'm not quite ready to bolt in my suspension. I have my new axles sitting right here. Those axles right there are actually out of a 2018 JL Rubicon. So they are the M210 and the M220 axles, Dana 44s with the new JLs. So if you're at the point of finishing up this project on your Jeep and you already have your axle and your suspension ready, the next step's just putting the bushings in, your new shackles, bolting everything up, and you should be good to go. You're going to need a new drive shaft because you're moving your axle back 6 inches with this kit. So still some more mods that need to be done, but for this component itself, pretty straightforward. I'm thankful to have friends that are willing to help, that have the skills and the knowledge that I don't quite have, so that's nice. As hinted in the beginning of this video, I am doing a motor swap. I ended up getting a 01 Chevy Silverado, so it's got the 5.3 LS, and I'm going to be using the 4L60 transmission with that as well. I have some more Motobilt products coming on. My next one is going to be the full width conversion kit, which is a very similar project to this, just on the front end. I will be doing a video on that, so stay tuned. If you are interested and want to see more progress on the YJ or Lauren's JL, make sure to hit that subscribe button and then go ahead and like, comment, share. If you have any questions, just leave them down below. I'll do my best to answer. Thank you guys for sticking around, and watching me struggle through this, but it turned out good. I'm very happy with it. It's a good looking product, American made, 3/16, good quality steel. Alright, well, thanks for tuning into The Altered Life. Have a good night. Alright, now that that's done. Hi Luna. Hi. I'm trying to make a video. No, okay. Okay. Guess the video will wait. Guess the video will wait.